it's good. It's a good practice to just practice stillness and to develop a curiosity and wonderment about this planet. I feel like if they get to know their surroundings and if they get to observe their surroundings in a close way, not through a book or not through um, videos or something like that, that they actually get out there and feel the earth with their hands, pluck a flower. Um, I think Rachel Carson said it best. I think humans just develop less of an appetite for destruction of the planet, right? If you get to know the names of these wildflowers, you're going to want to do everything in your power possible to protect that patch of wildflowers. It's the people that just think, oh, it's a piece of land that they can easily just not care if someone's trying to pave it over or something like that. Also, it's a way for them to practice one of their most amazing gifts I think that children have is their ability to speak in metaphor and their ability to um, write the world filled with so much magic and joy and to capture that delight on the page. Um, I think something happens to kids' vocabulary in junior high or high school where it's not cool to talk in metaphor anymore. But I'm hoping that we change that kids see that there's such a poetic language when you take note of Mother Nature. That you can't help but notice the musicality and the colors and the smells and the sounds that nature gives out. So why not record it for posterity? It's something as small as taking a kid out to buy their very own journal. I think there's that sense of fun ownership, and who doesn't like school supplies. And it doesn't have to be anything costly at all. I mean, we're talking like the 20-cent spiral notebook, or I know my boys like it. They think it's very grown up to have their own composition notebooks. I have a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old, and they think it's very grown up to have a college, composition book. And something even as simple as writing their name on it, that this is Jasper's book of observations, I think is something he loves. My goodness, I didn't ever have to say, get your notebook or anything. That was just part of he'd grab his notebook, grab a pencil when we'd go on walks and take down notes of what he sees and observes. It's just, I think I think kids want to record and feel like they have a voice. Sometimes kids feel like, oh, this is a grown-up world and I'm just living in it. But it's their way to kind of assert themselves and be creative and explore their creativity. Even if they do a little drawing, this is the robin I saw at the park today, and it may look nothing like a robin, but it's their way of saying, this is the robin through my eyes. And why wouldn't you want to keep a journey of that, or a record of that? I love making them record smells. I never really have to tell anybody to record sights down, anything that they see, but smells is something that gets forgotten a lot. And I always joke around that if you could record smell accurately in a scene or in a poem, 80% of your job is done because smell triggers something into memory. Smell triggers a whole host of other emotions, but also sensory details in that the smell of something like spearmint gum will always send me back to the 70s. I'm thinking of my mom taking me to the Lincoln Park Zoo in Chicago, because that was her gum and that was the first gum that I ever was able to try as a little kid. I thought that was so exciting. I also like having them just sketch. So it's not really even a writing exercise, but just to sketch what they see. This is the view outside my window if we can't go outside, or this is a pond that we saw. Here's a bird that we saw in the pond. So I love seeing as the years go on the detail that arises and even the details that get left out. My sons have a whole host of drawings of birds where none of them seem to have any beaks whatsoever. It was the eyes, and you would never know that they were birds except for the fact that they said these are bird drawings. But it was the eyes that were so intense and no beaks. And now it's all beaks, 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 beaks. And the eyes is just like a dot, literally a dot on the page with a marker. So it's interesting to see which parts of nature that they are in tune with, are really obsessed with, or really again, it's their way of asserting what they see outside through their own eyes, and it's there's something so magical about that as well. I there just wasn't even a thing like that in my childhood. I mean, I think my parents were always like, "Do your math homework" or something. It was so much on the sciences, and I know I wrote and I know I drew, but it was always kind of in secret or behind closed doors. Like, let me close the door. I'm supposed to be doing homework, but I was drawing, or and they'd like be practicing drawing a cactus or Snoopy or something like that. Um, but I think as early as I could write my name. I mean, so we're talking kindergarten, first grade. Um, I just like the sounds of things too. So if I learned a juicy word like broccoli or something, or I would just spell out broccoli and maybe draw like what I thought was broccoli. I think I wasn't, it didn't occur to me to journal because I was outside all the time, also, too. And that's very different than even my kids. I like to think we go outside a lot, but I was outside breakfast in the summer, breakfast, and then I come home just for dinner or come home for lunch and then again at dinner. So I wasn't really writing outside. I was playing and I would reflect on what I did at the end of the day, but nature journaling as we know it, I also didn't have anybody around me to say, hey, why don't you go do this? Here's a prompt, why don't you do it this way? My parents were not, they were doing their own thing. So part of that joy and discovery and taking note is that we were left alone for a lot of time to discover on our own. Oh, here's what a pillbug looks like. Here's what happens if you look under a ladybug wing, things like that. So for me, that wasn't writing, but that was a lot of discovery.